Hi, I'm Michael here from EC Off-Road, and we're going to talk you through our 200 series build in a bit more detail. So this car was originally purchased back in 2017, and when EC started in 2020, we really began the build on this particular vehicle. That's where we see it today, and we're going to go into a bit more detail about that. Starting from our ARB bar, so this is the ARB Summit bar with the matching side steps and scrub rails. Moving on to our driving lights, these are a little bit of a unique feature of this vehicle. These are what they call an IPF Super LED light with a high and low beam H4 globe in them that draw a massive amount of power, but they are extremely good and were amazing for their day. Technologies have certainly come a long way with LED technology, but these are absolutely brilliant. Still really good in low light and foggy conditions, being the halogen. But they draw an awful lot of power doing it. So moving right along, we've got our worn high mount winch that is just absolutely awesome for doing our high country trips and when we're having to do recoveries and multiple of them in a row. And underneath we've got our recovery points and bash plates right through underneath the vehicle. We've got our UHF out here on front, integrated fog lights. Now let's take a look around the side of the vehicle. So talking about our GVM on this particular vehicle, when we bought our big van, we knew we needed to do the big GVM. So we went 4495 and 7795 GCM with a 3-ton rear axle load. That's really what we needed for our van that's over 3.5 ton. It allows us to tow that. Now, what's involved in that particular package is you needed to upgrade wheels and tires. Now, we went with the Nitto Trail Grapplers. That's their mud terrain tire. The reason we chose this is I do an awful lot of high country work as well as obviously towing the van, when nothing beats having a good tire in those type of wet and slippery conditions. Now, with the GVM, we also chose to upgrade to the King shocks. It was a really big thing back in 2020. Not so much of a big thing now, but certainly was a big thing back then. And we've got the Dobinson UCAs, and that's all part of the package for our GVM. Part of the GVM that you need to do is Cat 6 indicators. Now, we also chose towing mirrors. Of course, as I've just mentioned, I do a lot of towing with this vehicle, so we opted for that with the Cat 6s integrated with them. Last but not least, we've got our snorkel for our high country trips and our deep water crossings. It does everything we need it to do in that space and keeps us well protected. Now, as this vehicle is set up as an Outback Tourer, we had to, of course, put a long-range tank in there. So long-range tank underneath, that meant we went to the rear bar as we had no spares. Now, again, with the long-range Tourer, we didn't need any extra fuel, so we opted to delete the twin jerry can holder and went for the extra spare, as I sort of thought, if you ever do a spare, it's handy to have a second. So that's why we went with the twin on this one. So we've done the twin spares, and what we're going to do is show you through the inside now. Now in the back here, we did a custom drawers system. It really tailored to our needs. So we've got kitchen, fridge, table to sit down and eat at, drawers with slide out table underneath. And then we've obviously, of course, got our lighting up here that integrates all the way through and inside the cab. And of course does white and amber for those pesky little bugs when they're around. So this was has been a really great setup for us and really caters to what we need to do out of this particular vehicle. Now, powering all this setup is we've got a pair of twin lithiums under bonnet, but something that's a little bit unique about this particular vehicle is we've got a huge alternator that was put in there to cater for the big power demands in the back with the big inverter and the induction cooking, as well as down here we have twin Andersons that was what charges our van. So we run 100 amp of DC off the van, as well as catering to everything in the back of the car at the same time. So let's now take a look under the bonnet next. So now let's have a look underneath the bonnet and run you through this. Right, so starting with some of the upgrades that need to be done, it's particular to a Toyota 200. Everyone knows about the dusting of the airbox issue, so we needed an aftermarket airbox. I chose this particular brand because I love the fact that it's a toolless change and no tools are required to change and service your air cleaner, and also designed for a much bigger engine. The air cleaner side of it means that you're gonna have plenty of airflow if you're chasing any extra power. One of the other things when you're chasing a bit of extra power, especially with towing heavy vans, is the intercooler. They're also very prone to crack into factory intercoolers, so this was a good way of negating the two at the same time. This is a PWR intercooler with your fan kit as well for your low speed work that suits high country stuff very nicely. As you can see, the battery system under here, even though this is a fairly elaborate power system, is very, very clean and quite simple in reality, as it just is very, very clean setup and there's no other batteries needed to be anywhere, and this does everything you need. Now, one for performance on this vehicle, what do we do? So part of the package is of course doing a snorkel, they're nice airbox for the airflow, the intercoolers keeping that charge going. As far as tune goes, we use the uni chip that's done by Dynamotive right here in Bayswater. That's right directly across the road from us. They do a great job on these things. They do 5 map select switch that allows you to obviously have different tunes for different jobs. That is something I do use and is very, very, very invaluable, and absolutely love it and use it on most of my vehicles. And the last thing to finish off, of course, your power tune is doing an exhaust that this vehicle of course has. Now, as far as all our switching of all our accessories, that's all done by our switch pros. Let's jump inside and have a look at that. Now, inside our vehicle, we're going to jump in and talk about our switching and what we've done. So of course, with the inside of the car, we've got our Recaros that certainly are great for the long drives. Up on our roof, we've got our roof console, UHF, as well as one switch panel, and we've got another one here to our driver's side. Now on our switch panels, we've got everything from driving lights, roof lights, side lights, front and rear lockers, air compressor, winch power in and out, as well as air free spool, of course, on a winch. You've got your rear screens, so it's for the kids. We've got our rear lighting packages, all our internal USBs, Starlink, Selfie Go, rear camera for the caravan, Anderson plug override, and of course you've got your handy TowPro controller and all our mirror controls. So that's what our switching has, and we amazingly, with all that switching, has allowed us to keep a couple of blanks available for anything else we might add in the future. So as far as a bit of our luxuries and comforts, we've gone with the upgraded sports wheel, paddle shift, digital dash cluster, and of course our 12.3 inch head unit. Now this was an evolution of all the head units we have done in the past, customer feedback and real world experience. So this was the absolute, and it still is, our latest and greatest head unit for this particular model vehicle, as it sits up like it does. As you can see it, you've got your air vents redirected, giving us a couple of extra switch blanks, especially for vehicles that are running low on switches, is incredibly handy. We get no sun glare like a lot of the factory Toyota head units get with where they sit in the dash. So it just corrects all that and is just an absolutely wonderful setup. Being a GXL base, we've gone for our airbag controls and gauge and everything here, phone chargers, extra USBs for charging all our accessories. So tying in with our head unit, once you do this beautiful screen, nothing really completes it like having a nice sound system. So this has got our Focal Utopia setup in it with our amps and DSP amp and subwoofer in the rear. So that makes it absolutely lovely and crisp sound, and sounds absolutely awesome. Up on our roof, we've of course got our Rhino Rack backbone set up with our lights on it for side lighting, rear lighting and front lighting. Up right on top, we've got our fold down aerial bracket that does our Selfie Go, Starlink mount, as well powered by our Starlink mini power supply. We've got our big solar panel that keeps the batteries topped up while we're parking up, or being able to unplug it at the rear and plug that into our van if we want to top up the van. We've of course got for all our shade, and when we're doing our beach days, we've got our nice Clever Shade ultralight here that's super fast to set up and quick and easy to remove if we ever need to take it off. So now, one thing we haven't talked about, of course, this vehicle has onboard air, has a full air system in the rear with an ARB twin compressor and air tank, and that also powers our airbags that we saw our controls inside. Now, with any performance tune, something you also need to be able to do is you need to be able to monitor the vehicle. That was done by our Ultra Gauge, and we've got our uni chip. This is our controller here that you can see. So the 200, the reason we've kept it for so long, because obviously the 200 has now been discontinued for a good few years now. They were a great package back when they came out, and they're still a great package today. Being one of the only, or the last V8 twin turbo diesel, they make an absolutely awesome tow package, and it's certainly a great touring package. So if there's anything you loved or saw in this video you'd like some more information about, or you'd like to do something like this on your car, please feel free to reach out, drop us a line, email us, whatever you feel free, and we'll have a chat soon.